Hello friends, I'm Priscilla Purl. I'm an avid knitter and vintage enthusiast from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. I love to knit from both vintage and modern patterns to complement my vintage-inspired wardrobe. If you want to see more of what I'm up to, I can be found on both Instagram and Ravelry as The Lavender Purl. It's a beautiful fall day on Vancouver Island today. I'm using a lot of natural light and I'm loving how the video is looking. So if the lighting changes at some point in the video, I'm sorry, I might have to turn a light on because I live on the west coast and it can get pretty cloudy and rainy here with the drop of a hat. I'm hoping that the light stays. Today I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing, a recent finished object, a work in progress that I'm almost done, and my fall and winter knitting plans. I love layering my knitwear, so I'm wearing a couple of knit items today. I'm going to talk about my Sweetheart Bomber by Poison Grrls first. That's this item right here. So I knit this over the summer, but now that the weather's turned and it's a little bit cooler, I'm getting a lot of wear out of it and I'm really loving it. I used Subculture Yarn. It's the Superwash Merino DK. I used Grey Goose and Dolphin 38. I've used Subculture Yarns a few times for a few different projects, and I've always loved how my items have turned out, and it's always a joy to knit with. They are a local to me hand dyer from Vancouver Island, Canada. And they just dye the most soft and vibrant yarns. I love it. I did a lot of firsts on this project. It was my first time doing the saddle shoulders, snaps, pockets, and it's got a I-cord applied border there to the pockets. But luckily the pattern explained everything pretty well, so it was pretty easy to try all these new techniques for the first time. And all these details, like the ones that I mentioned and the double collar there, it just makes for such a gorgeous, like finished looking finished object. I went pretty neutral with my color choices, just so I could wear it with everything, it would match with everything. But there's so many fun color choices that you could do. I would definitely look on the on Ravelry at the different finished objects, or on Instagram, check out the hashtag. It's just so cool to see all the different colors that people have chose. I definitely want to knit another one day in fun colors. I haven't decided what colors to use yet though. It was a really fun knit. It was very engaging and it kept my interest. But because there was so many of those little details and things I hadn't done before, it wasn't the regular TV knitting project that I usually like to do. As I said, I would definitely knit it again, but it would probably be like a next year project instead of knitting another one right away. I have almost a full skein left of each of the colors that I used for this project, so I'm thinking about doing a matching cowl. I've been itching to do another 2-color brioche project, so I feel like that would be the perfect thing to match, just to be a little bit extra cozier in the fall weather. The second item that I'm wearing is my recent finished object as well. It's the Boardwalk Blouse by Poison Grrls. I'll just take my jacket off here to give you a better look. Honestly, it's just kind of an excuse because it's getting a little bit warm in here. So yeah, this is a really cute top. I've knitted a couple times. This time I used the Knit Picks diatom. It is a 50% alpaca and 50% silk yarn. It's got a really nice little halo on it. The color that I used is sapphire, so it's like a beautiful like sapphire blue. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see the halo or not, probably not. Diatom is a single ply yarn. Unfortunately it's been discontinued. I bought it a couple years ago when it was on sale and I wasn't sure what to do with it, and this ended up being the perfect project for it. It's just so cozy and nice. I love it. This is my first time using alpaca and I'm really happy with how it feels, but I'm interested to see how it wears over time just because I hear it can be a little bit stretchy. I really love this pattern. As I mentioned, this is my second time knitting it. I find it's really good for just like sitting down, watching TV. It's kind of a relaxing knit, but at the same time, I don't know if you can see it too well. There's a bit of a ribbed pattern on it as well, and there's some shaping. So there is a little bit of different things to do to kind of keep it engaging. Like, wow, it's pretty easy. I think this would make a very good first garment project for someone, just because there's not a lot of different techniques that you would need to use. Everything's all pretty easy on it. It's knit top down, which I love, so then you can easily adjust the length of it. So I made mine a pinch longer than the pattern called for. I also added a couple stitches under the underarms just because I was between sizes, and it worked out really well. I wouldn't be surprised if I knit a third one day. It's just a really fun knit, and the top that you get at the end is so cute. It would also be a really good stash buster project. You could do different like stripes and stuff if you had smaller amounts of yarn. Alright, let's talk about my nearly finished whip. So this is the Baudelaire Crop by Skeinanigans. As you can tell, I'm almost done. So just finishing up the second sleeve there, and then I'll just have the collar to work on afterwards. I'm using Sandnes Garn Sisu. It's a fingering weight wool yarn. I'm using black for the body, and then I'm gonna do a white Peter Pan collar. I talked about this a bit on the last episode, and I actually showed it on the last video as well. But this is completely reknit since then. I frogged it and then I reknit it. So it was no fault of the pattern itself. It was a silly mistake on my part. Originally I did 2 swatches, one on the recommended needle, which was a US 6, and then one on a size smaller, which was a US 5. I found that my US 5 was just slightly smaller than gauge, and my US 6 was slightly larger than gauge. So considering that I was knitting a sweater using, you know, about no to maybe a slight bit of negative ease, I probably should have went with the size 6. Looking back, that was a pretty obvious choice that I should have made, but I chose the size 5 because I liked the thicker, denser fabric that it created. So I knit, it's a raglan, so I knit from the top down to about, I split the sleeves and did a little bit of the underarm there, and I was trying it on and I was like, oh yeah, this will block out, it'll be fine. And then I eventually was like, you know what, I don't want to finish it and chance it. I really want this to be a good fit. It is such a cute pattern. I want to be able to wear this top all the time. So I ended up frogging it and completely reknitting it on the US size 6. And I am so thankful that I did. From all the try-ons, it fits super well, and I'm just really happy with how it's working up. I should have this done by the next video, so I don't want to talk too much about it just because I talked about it in the last video, and I'll probably talk about it in the next video. But I will say that because it is using a little bit bigger of a needle than I'm used to, with the US size 6 needle fingering weight yarn, I just find that it's knitting up quicker than what I'm used to, and I'm kind of liking that. It's been good because I had to, you know, frog and reknit. I'm really enjoying this knit, and I can see myself knitting it in a few different colors afterwards. After I finish the Baudelaire Crop, I'm going to work on my vintage skirt for a little while, but I'm really excited to talk about my next cast on. It's going to be the Dottie Cardigan by Poison Grrls. I just got the yarn in the mail and I'm really excited about it. So I ended up going with Sandnes Garn Duo in marine, so it's kind of like a dark blue. Yeah, I think that's picking up pretty well there. So it's a DK yarn. It's 55% merino wool and 45% cotton. It's really soft. I used it on my Love Witch sweater in black recently, and I'm just really happy with how it turned out in that project, and it's just so soft. Can't wait to work with it again. And then I'm also going to be holding it double with this Drops Kid Silk mohair here. So I'm really excited to see how these work together and speckle. I think it's gonna be really pretty. It'll have kind of some black speckles in with the blue, and it'll have a nice fuzzy black halo, and I think it'll be beautiful. This pattern is a recent release, and as soon as I saw it, I knew that I had to knit it. It's just so perfect and cozy looking. There's lots of different fun combinations that you can use to get gauge. I'm just gonna read from my notes here. So some of the suggested yarns that you could use is 2 fingering and 1 lace held together, 1 DK and 1 fingering or lace, 1 sport and 2 lace, or just 1 strand of worsted yarn. So there's just so many possibilities. Because there's so many fun possibilities, it made it kind of difficult for me to choose what yarns I was going to use. I was kind of debating on whether or not I wanted to get like a nice hand-dyed worsted, or if I wanted to do something else, but I really wanted that like mohair fluff, so I did get something a little bit more budget friendly to hold with it, just so it would be within my budget for this project. As soon as I saw this sweater, I knew I wanted some combination of black and blue because they're 2 of my favorite colors, so I'm really happy that I found these yarns. I think that they'll knit up beautifully in this sweater, and they'll just be so speckled and pretty. I also want to talk about some of the fun projects I have planned for the fall-winter season. I am looking forward to knitting my 3rd beauty school sweater by Poison Grrls. As you can tell, I really love this pattern. So I keep knitting it, but I keep doing a little bit differently each time. This time I want to do it in black. I'm going to be using Sandnes Garn Sisu, my favorite, a wool fingering weight yarn. And I'm going to be doing the mock turtleneck this time. I don't know if you guys have been watching The Queen's Gambit. I just finished it last night and it was so good. It was a really fun, interesting watch, and I drooled over the fashion the whole time. I already had this project planned, but just seeing Beth in her black turtleneck outfits, oh my gosh, it just solidified that I need to knit a black turtleneck. So as I mentioned, I'm going to do the turtleneck, and then I'm also going to do the 3/4 sleeve option. I'm planning on wearing it casually with like some black pants, kind of a Audrey Hepburn look with flats, but then also dressing it up with either mini skirts or longer T-length circle skirts. I think it'll be super cute. Another project that I've been wanting to make is the Best Beret by James Watts. It's just a really cute beret, and I've just seen so many cute finished projects for that. I want to knit it in a bunch of different colors just to match with my wardrobe. I want to do a black one first, but eventually I also want to make white, navy, and red. It's a worsted weight for that pattern, so I'm not sure what yarn I'm going to use yet, but I will probably use Cascade 220 just because it's one of my favorites. I'm really lucky with where I live. I live in Canada, but I live on the West Coast in a very mild climate here. So luckily, hats are less of a necessity and more of a fashion statement. Another project that I want to do is either some elbow length or over the elbow long gloves. I love capes, and they can get a little bit chilly if you don't have something to cover your arms. So I'm looking for something to help me wear capes in cooler weather, because I have a gorgeous black wool vintage cape that I want to be able to get more wear out of. I am thinking about knitting the Opera Gloves by Lynne Barr, but I'm not sure if I want to do a full like fingered glove or if I just want to do fingerless gloves. Fingerless gloves would be a little bit more practical for me, just so I can like use my phone and like grab stuff and whatnot, but the full like fingered gloves would have that more polished vintage look. I just want to show you what I mean. So this is my favorite cape. I don't know how many girls say that. just buttoned it. Anyways, I'm not sure if I want to do a full over the elbow glove. It would cover more of my arm there, but it might get annoying with how the cape moves there. Or just to the elbow glove. But it would help transition this from a fall piece to more of a cooler weather winter piece. Another pattern that I want to knit to help keep me warm in the cooler weather is the brioche topped thigh-high socks. That pattern is by Lavanya, Patricella. They are a fingering weight sock. I'm gonna knit mine above the knee. I love above the knee socks. I'm planning on knitting a pair in black, and then eventually I might knit another pair in white as well. I think it'll be perfect to help keep me warm when wearing shorter skirts. Admittedly, I am not much of a sock knitter. I don't wear socks very often, so I don't knit a lot of socks. So it'll be interesting to be an inexperienced sock knitter and make such long socks, but I'm sure I'll get more wear out of them than I would out of regular socks. I know I'm surprised by all the accessories on my to knit list right now. I've been knitting mostly garments for the last couple years, so I think now it's time to catch up on my accessories. I would love to hear what your favorite cool weather knits are. Please leave me a comment below so I can add them to my list. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel. It'll let me know that there's an interest for my content, and it'll make it easier for you to find my future videos. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.